Hi, I'm John Bailey, professional hypnotist and creator of the Left Brain Guide to the Right Mind. Welcome to the video edition of Guilt Release 101, a short, simple process for letting go of energy-sapping guilt. Shakespeare said, "The mind of guilt is full of scorpions," and guilt is certainly the most toxic of emotional patterns. Guilt is resentment against the self, and resentment traps a person in time, doesn't it? It chains part of their attention to the time of the event that they felt bad about. Imagine a person with guilt has part of their attention almost constantly distracted to a distant moment in time and one they feel terrible about. And parts of themselves are always at war, resenting and accusing themselves. How effective can a person be with that kind of thing going on? If a person can't focus 100% on anything because they're always being pulled back into feeling guilty, resented by themselves, maybe even self-sabotaging because they don't think they feel deserving. Remember, our bodies, our brains, and our emotions are built to function in a primitive world, the hunter-gatherer groups. In that context, what's the survival advantage of guilt feelings? Primatologist Franz Serval has written about other primates that behave as we might if we felt guilty. A chimpanzee that bites another in a spat will often soon enough go over to examine the injury. They'll touch it tenderly and groom it, the kind of thing we might do with a family member we had hurt during a moment of anger. I wonder if this kind of behavior helps maintain the strength of the social fabric and the survival level need for acceptance by one's peers. In biology, intense emotions cause memories to be more quickly and vividly written into the brain and more readily remembered. So the positive purpose of strong resentment could be to ensure remembering, boost learning. Without learnings built through things like strong emotions and resentment and guilt, maybe society wouldn't have as many benefits as we do through empathy and compassion and generosity. Maybe there would be just too much cheating going on if we all just forgot things too easily. However, if a lesson has been well learned, then the intense emotions have served their purpose, haven't they? And repeating those emotions forever would be wasteful, wouldn't it? Especially if they were distracting a person from being effective. So I wonder whether a person will be willing to be responsible for remembering a lesson and acting differently, even if they're allowed to stop feeling bad. And if a person feels bad enough for guilt to bother them, I guess the answer could be yes. I've researched forgiveness of others and of the self across time and across cultures, and I've researched forgiveness and guilt release rituals in modern therapy. And in all the effective processes I've found, there are the same 6 things. Forgiveness has to acknowledge any harm or loss or pain that's been caused, and it has to achieve what I call the view of wisdom, which means separating some of the things involved in the experience, separating the behavior from the human being, because actions aren't really people, and separating emotions from useful information, because a person shouldn't have to feel bad just to remember something useful. It's important to sever the relationship, to be free of the resentment that's attached to it, even if that's resenting of the self. It's necessary to release the toxic emotions and to appreciate the value of wisdom earned through painful experience. To embrace the ideas of restitution or penance, making things equitable again, and to redefine the relationship with oneself. My research and work with clients shows that whether these things happen as part of a ritual process like what follows, or more slowly and in their own time, each of these things will always happen, and more or less in 3 phases. The 3 phases of guilt release are 1. Severance, where the view of wisdom is achieved, and 2. Cleansing, where the toxic emotions are released, and finally 3. Atonement, where the relationship with the self is repaired and redefined. To prepare for that process, it's important to decide to invest emotionally, because the benefits of processes like this are directly related to the emotional investment. And people I've helped use this process have universally had great and lasting relief. Also, it's important to have undisturbed and undistracted privacy, with the thoughts, feelings, and notes for between 15 minutes and an hour. And of course, it would be a waste of time to go through such a process half-heartedly or to allow distractions or interruptions. So make sure you're not going to be bothered. There's usually a release of intense and private feelings, and in my experience, almost everyone will cry over the memories and from the relief. So if you're ready to set yourself free of guilt, and if it's okay with all the parts of yourself to do that, I'm ready to lead you through the steps.